Everyone wants to retire early, but you need to know that there are plenty of downsides, okay? And in order to solve that problem, you do need to understand what those downsides are and the solutions to fix them. Make sure you stay to the end of this video because we save one of the biggest downsides of retiring early for last, because we want you to watch it all.
Yes.
Let's get into one of the very important reasons why you should not retire early, and that is because you lose a lot of socialization.
Socialization?
I almost said it wrong, but I said it right. Socializing.
Yes.
Socializing is a huge reason why you should not retire early, and that's because you might not know this, but you get a lot of your socializing done at your place of work, whether that be from your coworkers, from your clients, your customers, depending on where you work, what you do, but you do get a lot of socialization, and us human creatures, we are social animals. It's true. So what is the solution for this?
Make some friends outside of jobs. Find other ways to find friends.
It sounds pretty obvious, right? But it's a lot harder than you think. So you're going to have to fill that gap if you intend on retiring early, because you're going to lose that socializing from work. So you're going to have to find other means in order to, become social and, find friends and talk to people, because you're going to need that in your life. All right, there's many different ways that you can do that, and that's not what this channel is for. But that is definitely a challenge that you're going to have if you want to retire early. And I think that's kind of been one of our biggest struggles, right? So we do these online business stuff. We have our other stuff we do, and we've moved, clear across the country in order to pretty much retire early and become financially independent. And so it's been a really big struggle for us, not having that employability place.
Not having a place to work
okay,
at.
not having a workplace is where to make new friends and all that good stuff. So make sure you keep that in mind if you are going to retire early.
Retiring early can be lonely.
Oh dang.
She got deep.
Put it up a notch. Okay. Okay. No, I didn't know you were that bad. Next on this list, number 2, one of the biggest challenge, maybe a reason why you should not, I like saying it like that, should not retire early, is because you will possibly lose your health insurance. Okay, so according to the U.S. Census
Bureau.
Exactly, I cannot say that word.
I took French.
Bureau. According to those people at the census, they say that 55.4% of Americans get their health insurance through their employer. And if you're watching this, the odds are more than likely than not, I should say, that you get your health insurance through your employer as well.
Yeah.
And so you're going to have to keep that in mind, that if you are going to retire early, you might have to pay a lot more for your health insurance, or you're going to have to find other ways to get health insurance than just through your employer, because actually the employers, especially like if you work at a big company, they subsidize or they pay for a lot of your health insurance. You might not even realize it. You might be upset because you pay $300 a month for through your payroll deductions or something like that, but you might not realize that actually the employer is paying maybe that same amount or even more on behalf of you. And so health insurance, as we all know, is pretty expensive, but luckily, what are we going to do in order to fix that when we're retired early?
You can find some subsidies, as well as a couple other things that we listed.
Exactly. And so the solutions that we have actually taken for ourselves is, mine was pretty easy. So I served in the military, and so I am eligible for VA healthcare, and so I am enrolled there. So I am very thankful for that. So that takes a lot of worry off of paying for health insurance for us. Her, on the other hand, we are able to get her health insurance through the Affordable Care Act, which is what you'll get through healthcare.gov. And when you're retired early, you might have a lot lower income than when you were working, and so you might actually qualify for a lot more subsidies. You might actually be able to get lower health premiums depending on what your income level is. And honestly, if you retire early and your income is between like the median and lower, then you're probably going to get pretty good sized subsidies, and so it'll be pretty affordable. Now, we don't know what could happen to the Affordable Care Act. It could go away, and so that is a challenge that is going to be presented to us in the future. But for now, that is a solution. Another solution is you could join the military like I did. Okay, that might not be realistic for everyone. But if you're a veteran, or if you are thinking about joining the military, or your spouses, maybe it could be a solution. I don't know. And then another really good solution is to maybe come out of retirement, but not technically really. So in the financial independence community, we call this solution Barista Fire. So basically, there's no coffee in there.
I know.
But Barista F.I.R.E, it doesn't actually mean you have to work as a barista.
You don't have to work at Starbucks.
Exactly. So this actually originated from Starbucks, being Barista F.I.R.E. But basically what it means is you are working part-time, mainly for the benefits, and mainly in this case for health insurance. That's because if you work at an employer that offers health insurance for part-time workers, you could work probably 20 hours a week, which is not too bad, and you could get, dramatically cheaper health insurance and, a little bit of extra bonus, a little bit extra
as well
income.
as some benefits.
So, okay, maybe you're not technically retired early then, but, who makes these rules? And then another solution we have here for you is to
be healthy, or try to be healthy.
Whoa, so
I know, it's like, oh my god.
groundbreaking, right?
Like,
so this can't guarantee that you're going to have lower health insurance or lower healthcare costs, but it is one of the best things that we can do in order to try to combat those. Trying to live an overall healthier life is probably going to lead, in most circumstances, to lower health costs over time. Again, that is a whole nother YouTube channel on living a healthy life, but that is something to keep in mind. And that brings us to number 3 on why you should not retire early. But before we move on to that, I just want to say really quick, if you want to help us out, I'd really appreciate it. Give that like button a click, a tap, or
Click
wherever you're on. It really does help us out, and we really do appreciate that. Thank you very much. Now, number 3 on this list is that you will probably
accumulate less wealth.
Now, as you can probably tell, if you know me, I wrote that.
Yes.
Very fancy words. All right, so what that means is that you probably will have a lower net worth. You will have, a lower amount of wealth at the end of your life if you were to retire early, rather than if you were to, continue working and continue contributing to your investments. Now, that might also sound pretty obvious, but it is true. So you're just going to pretty much be building your wealth. Even if you decide to retire early, you can still definitely build more wealth. It's entirely possible and likely. Probable. But it probably will be less than if you were continuing to, contribute a bunch of money to your investments and build it that way. And this might be more or less important for different people, depending on who you are. You might want to leave a lot of money to your children. You might have 10 children, and you're gonna have to have a lot of money if you want to leave them some money, right?
Yeah.
But also you might want to, let's say, contribute a lot of money to a charitable cause that you deeply care about. And so depending on what your ultimate goals are, and depending on whether you want to have a lot of wealth accumulated by the end of your life or not, there are other ways though that you can also continue to build wealth even if you are retired early. And what is the best way for that, Phoenix?
Start an online business or some kind of passive business.
Exactly. So I think the best solution for if you want to retire early and you want to continue to accumulate wealth and build your net worth, one of the best ways that you can do that is to start a business. Now, more specifically, I think a business that is somewhat passive, okay? Because there are different kinds of businesses, many different businesses that you can start, but a lot of them are going to be not very passive at all, and some of them can be more passive than others. For example, if you want to start a lawn care business, right, and you're going to go mow people's lawns, that's awesome.
That's
if you
great
like
for
doing
you.
that, yeah, that could be a great business. It could be very profitable. It could be very profitable. Now, I don't like mowing my lawn, but if you are into that stuff, you can start a business around that, and you can make a lot of money. It could be a great business if you enjoy doing it. No problem with that. But at that point, that is not a very passive business, right?
No.
You have to actively mow those lawns, among other things. So a lot of service businesses are not super passive. Consulting can be semi-passive. But anyway, there are so many different businesses that you can start. But if you want to kind of continue to live that, retired life, then you might want to consider starting a more passive business. And typically, a more passive business is going to be an online-based business. Not always, but that's probably one of the more common ones. And so that is a way that you can pursue, a business venture, fancy words. You can pursue a business, starting a business that might be semi-passive, that can bring you in more income and possibly allow you to build, more wealth and accumulate more wealth. And the way that we have done that is we have created On Cash Flow. This is a way that we, get to do, well, especially me, get to talk about stuff that I really like doing, personal finances, financial independence, and it also can possibly bring us in a little bit of extra income and let us accumulate more wealth. The next thing that you really need to know about if you want to retire early, and maybe you shouldn't because of this next one, and that is that you must have a flexible lifestyle if you want to retire early.
Yeah.
Right? So it's basically a requirement to be flexible in your investments.
Even though it sounds great, being flexible, if you're thinking of like actual physical flexibility, we're talking about flexibility in your investments, flexibility in how you make money and in your lifestyle, which can be hard.
Exactly. So you have to remain flexible especially in your financial life is what we're talking about here.
Yes.
And especially if you're living off of investment. Stock markets go down, right? And when stuff like that happens, when things like that happen, we might have to adjust our lifestyle just a little bit in order to account for those downturns, and so that we don't, deplete a lot of our investments at that time. Okay? And that might be the same for you if you decide to retire early. And so what you need to do is you need to build some of that flexibility into your lifestyle. So for example, what we've done is with our budget, about 25% of it is what we call discretionary. This means that you could technically eliminate it and you'll be just fine, right? You still eat, you still got the food, you still got
basic needs, Maslow's basic needs,
Laszlo, hierarchy of needs. I'm just kidding. Fancy stuff. But really, so you need to bake a little bit of that flexibility into your life. You don't necessarily have to bake a cake. You have to have some flexibility into your life and your financial life. And if you're not ready to have that flexibility, then maybe you should not retire early.
Bake a flexible cake.
Next on this list, we have something that you definitely need to look out for. And this is a little deeper. We're getting a little deeper here into the psychology here. And that is that retiring early, number 5 is retiring early will not bring you happiness.
Nope.
It's true.
Yep.
And that's because happiness is a lot more complex. When people first get into financial independence, retiring early, they think, oh man, as soon as I get out of this job, I'm gonna be so happy, and maybe that might happen for the first week. You're like, oh man, I don't have to wake up early, that's so cool. But then it's gonna set in and you're gonna realize that that's not what happiness is, okay? So just being retired early is not going to bring you happiness. And what's the solution to that, Fee?
Don't think of early retirement as happiness. Don't correlate the two.
Sounds obvious, but it's not really that obvious. Yeah. So don't correlate that just, when I become financially independent, when I become retired early, I'm going to be happy, because it's not really going to happen. Instead, what you need to do is you need to seek happiness along the way. Okay, so you actually need to be happy with where your life is now and try to take small steps in order to improve your life and improve your happiness day to day, week to week. Yeah. What do you think about that?
Yes. Again, a whole another topic for another channel. But yes.
It's much deeper. I can't explain, this is how you become happy. It's not going to work that way.
There's many books and videos out there.
Books and videos, that's it. Maybe podcasts too.
Podcasts and people, get out there.
Happiness is very complex, like I said, but just retiring early, it's not going to make you happy. Next we have, oh my gosh, something that's even more deeper.
More complex.
Yes, okay, and it's definitely beyond our scope. You might not want to retire early because your work actually might give you a sense of meaning, believe it or not. You might actually find value, meaning, and purpose in the work that you do.
Exactly.
And so if you lose that and you don't even realize it, like all that hard work that you do, even though it might be exhausting and you might be tired and you might be mad at your job, whatever, that work that you do, all that that work and that effort that you put into it, that might actually give you a pretty significant sense of meaning in your life and a sense of purpose. And if you once you lose that, like you give that up for early retirement, things can go pretty bad for you.
Yeah.
And so what's the solution that we could have for that?
Find other ways to find your sense of meaning. It doesn't have to be just through work. You can find meaning in lots of different things in your life.
Exactly. So again, it might sound obvious, but it's really not that obvious, because no one's really thinking about that. Especially if you're just so focused on retiring early and getting out of your job or something like that, you're not going to really probably think about stuff like this. But you do need to find purpose in other things in your life, and it's just something that might help you get started. I can't tell you what your purpose is going to be, what's going to find purpose, but something that might help you get started is a survey from Pew Research Center. They actually asked Americans what is the number one thing or what's most likely to give you a sense of purpose or a sense of meaning in your life. And 69% of Americans actually answered that family was the thing that gave them a sense of purpose or a sense of meaning in their life. And so that might be a guiding light for you when you realize that, oh wow, yeah, my family is very important to me. So that might be a very significant thing that you need to implement in your life. No one has it 100% figured out. As much as they want to tell you, no one has it figured out, especially us.
Yeah, no, yeah.
But moving on to number 7 here. And number 7 is, we promised you, one of the most important reasons, like why you should not retire early. And that is that you
will lose your Social Security benefits.
Well, at least you'll lose a lot of Social Security benefits.
Yeah.
Your payouts might be a lot lower. And if you retire too early, you actually will not get any Social Security benefits. But, we're not going to explain everything on that. So basically, what Social Security benefits, how they're actually calculated, it's actually going to be based on your highest 35 years of income. And of course, it's a lot more complex than that. There's like a lot more calculations, and I'm not going to go into it because honestly, I don't know every detail about Social Security benefits because like everything in the government, it is very complicated. Okay, so, but basically it's mostly based on your highest 35 years of income. And so if you don't have 35 years of working income where you're paying Social Security taxes for 35 years, then your future benefit is going to be lower because they're going to insert zeros where that income would have been in that 35-year calculation. And so just keep that in mind. One of the best solutions that we have garnered, come up with?
Determined.
Why are we so fancy? One thing that we have come up with is to
not factor Social Security into your early retirement.
Exactly. So again, as soon as you say it, it sounds obvious, but it's really not obvious. Like so many people are like relying completely on Social Security, like in traditional retirement, they're like, oh man, once I get to Social Security, I'm good. But if we're trying to retire early, if you're trying to become financially independent, then you might not even want to factor Social Security into your equation. Yeah. You might want to completely rely on, investments and, formulating your goal around that. And then kind of looking at Social Security as like an extra little added benefit that might or might not happen, because also that has to do with that Social Security can change. Social Security benefits can go down, the requirements can change, they can go up maybe as well, that'd be cool, but whatever. That also means more taxes paying, by the way. But so Social Security can change, and if you're retiring early, especially significantly before Social Security benefits, you have no idea what's going to happen in that time. So definitely maybe not factor Social Security into your calculation because you probably will get reduced Social Security benefits if you do retire early.
I was going to say, it's like we talked about earlier with being flexible with your investments. You also have to be flexible in thinking about your Social Security benefits.
One of the more important things that you can do, if you are not persuaded by this video to not retire early, everyone should seek financial independence. Maybe not necessarily retiring early, but everyone should probably be seeking financial independence because that gives you so much more financial security, so much more peace of mind, and that's why what I've done is I put together a full guide for you guys. So it is called The Full Guide to Getting Started on the Path to Financial Independence. Thank you so much for watching this video. I'm Zach.
I'm Phoenix.
Come over here.
Oh, I'm Phoenix.
And we hope to see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.